Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening to you all, wherever you are getting our signals from. This is Fine TV. Once again, it's your EDUSA hour that comes your way every Sunday from the hours of 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. With me here today is students from the School of Education who are very much aware of one of some of the bottlenecks that students are facing when it comes to this faculty. As this hour is, is very important. It's an hour where we discuss about issues that is hindering the success or hindering the studies of students who are currently at the university. So, notwithstanding, last time we came here and then spoke about some of the issues that we are facing, especially in terms of late registration and some of the other issues that are happening at the management level at the university, which we feel should be changed. So today also we are here to discuss about our own faculty, which is the Faculty of Education, which is really full of so many problems that students feel should be a thing of the past. So with me here is Fode M. Silla, who is a student currently under the School of Education and a very outspoken student who will also give us his own thought on this particular topic that we want to discuss here, which is the issue of low grades in the educational courses. What are some of the causes of this? Is it, caused by the students, their lack of, concentration, or perhaps their unwillingness to gather the stuff that are given to them by the lecturers? Or is it the lecturers who are not actually doing what they should, do when it comes to giving out high grades like other schools are doing? So we'll discuss all these things out with him. And also we have a dynamic lady who is very much off with stuffs, that are happening at the school. And then she's, like I said, we are all victims of such. So she'll also tell us her own side of the story, or her own side of, the topic of discussion, which is the low grades in educational courses. And also my co-host, who is Modlamin Saab, who is currently the Deputy IPR of Education Students Association, as somebody who is very much influential when it comes to student matters at the university, and then somebody who has been very much taking part in making sure and the right information reaches the students. So he'll also join me to make sure this topic that we have on board is really buttressed and is really elaborated as it should be, so that the masses of students who are currently glued to this TV, which is Fine TV, can actually get what we want to say, to make sure it sinks to them. Now, not wasting much time, we'll start with introduction. We'll start with the right gentleman who is on my right hand side to tell us who he is and currently his level of study at the university. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sane. Greetings to you and then to your co-host as well as my co-guest. And also greetings to our wonderful viewers. I am Fode Msilla. I am a third-year student under the School of Education. I am majoring in English language and minoring in public administration. It is an honor to be present on this platform, and I am looking forward to every part of this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Silla. So from there, the lady in the building should also tell us who she is before we start.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everybody. My name is Ami M. Jaju. I am a second year of the University of the Gambia School of Education.
Thank you.
This topic is a very important topic to be discussed anyway, because it has affected a lot of students and students are complaining. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ami Jaju. As you have rightly heard, there'll be our two guests. My co-host is here, who is going to be my lieutenant to make sure the program is successful. So let's hear from him. You'll also do the introduction.
Assalamu alaikum to all those that are listening to us or that are watching us live from Fine TV. I am Mullah Sar, the Deputy Information and Communication Minister in the School of Education, University of the Gambia. So today on our discussion, we will be talking about a very important issue, because if you look at the School of Education, like other schools, we have very brilliant students, but at the end of the day, upon graduation, we see that the we did not get some of those cum laudes or summa cum laudes as much as we deserved. And as students, we think it is very important for us to discuss the challenges that students are facing on both sides, or maybe on the side of students and on the side of lecturers, so that we can get a common way forward. Yes.
Thank you very much, Monlamin sir. This is a very brief introduction. Time is not on our side. Now we will start with for the MC Land. Could you tell us some of the reasons you think, from your own perspective, is the cause of students under the School of Education having low grades?
Yes. Once again, thank you, Mr. Sani. This topic or this theme is very important. It is interesting, but yes, very pathetic as well. Thinking that the School of Education, one of the schools that has most mature students, is facing this kind of difficulty is kind of very pathetic. But I think it is also very important that we tell our audience, because our audience may not only be limited to students on the School of Education. We can have other audience that are not even university students.
Sure.
So it is important for them to also know what grades are before they are able to understand what are the causes of having low grades in the School of Education. Now, according to so many people, grades are measures or quantities that are allocated to students in order to determine their understanding of a particular topic or a particular course. Now, we understand that every student is subjected to an examination or a test or an assignment. Now, at the end of every semester, we have been given an exam. And when exams are given, at the end of the day, we have been allocated marks. That is to measure our understanding of the course that we have done in that particular semester. Now, but you realize that at the end of the marking, when grades are out, most of the students are disappointed. Now, before we understand these courses, we should be able to clear certain misconceptions regarding the causes of these low grades when it comes to students. Most of the people have this notion that School of Education students they are married people, they are married men and women, so they do not have time to read their books. Most of the people also think that School of Education people are people who came through the college, so they believe that they do not need to read much, because when exam comes, they will be able to deliver well. And then most of the people also believe that School of Education students are people who are also on part-time. Most of them are teaching, so they do not have time to read their books. Those are all misconceptions that we must clear first before we are able to give a clear reasons as to the low grades of students in the School of Education. So we must also understand, our audience must understand that these are our opinions as students. As far as we are concerned, these are our opinions. And then these opinions are not subjected to any practical research, because we have not done any practical research to ascertain that these are some of the causes. But at our level as students, we believe that these are some of the opinions, or these are some of the reasons. So in as much as one may say that these reasons are not valid, the person cannot also say that these reasons are also invalid, because for the fact that there has been no practical research to ascertain. Now, coming to the causes. Now, from my perspective and from what is being said in the student fraternity, one of the causes is poor record keeping of our grades. Now, we understand that most of the lecturers are very bad when it comes to keeping records. Sorry to say, but record keeping has been a problem. Now, even in this semester, most of the students cried out loudly that some of their lecturers were not able to keep good records of their marks. And as a result of that, they could not see some of their assignment grades, some of their test grades on the portal. Now, if records were kept very well, students will be able to see their grades on the portal. Now, the other reason is that, which is very pathetic, very sad to say, but we believe that as students, most of the lecturers do not also mark our papers, mark our scripts, because for a reason that you as a student, you have a partner or a colleague, and then you do your assignment, and then you are able to reference your work up to maximum level. And a student tells you that I have not referenced my work. It was just yesterday that I sat and I did my work. So it would be sad to realize that that student who did his work just a day before submission, without even following the proper procedures of referencing, score higher than you. It is going to be very pathetic to learn about that. So that is why we also believe that some of these students, some of these lecturers do not mark our papers. And
that is so disappointing, actually. Considering the caliber of lecturers that are lecturing, in the School of Education, you tend to, be very much angry, if you consider the nature of lecturers that they acquire, trying to employ to make sure they lecture in the school. You find out that they have lots of professors, perhaps more than any other school in the university. But then having, like you are saying, not giving actually the right mark to the right candidate is something that is really devastating.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it is very devastating. Now, when you look at our faculty, we are blessed with lecturers with degrees. I don't know if that is actually what is being translated in the classrooms, but we are actually blessed with lecturers with degrees. We have PhD holders, we have professors, we have people with master's degrees. But at the end of the day, you realize that the way marks are being allocated to students are quite sad. Now, people may think that I am being biased because I am a student and I am on the side of the student, but this is actually what has happened. Now, in history, you realize that myself, I have been affected when it comes to grades, and my colleagues also have been affected when it comes to grade. A student would serve as a tutor of a particular course. A student would be the one to help others in order to understand a course better, and at the end of the day, that person would be the one to score lesser than the student that he or she has helped. So realize that there is something wrong when it comes to lecturers marking the scripts of the students.
Thank you very much. So we'll come to that. We'll come to our individual bottlenecks that we face, when it comes to these low marks. I believe we are all victims to it. So, but then we'll come back to that. So, I mean, you've heard what for this MCLA has said, that we have, we are blessed with, very good lecturers, perhaps, on degree basis, they have very good degrees from the, different universities that they have been to. But then coming to the university and then under the School of Education, you'll be sad to realize that they are not giving the right marks to students. And as a result, you graduate from the School of Education without summa cum laude and then without cum laude and so on, which are very much important grades that, you can be boosted off after your studies. On your own perspective, what do you think is the cause of these low marks for students?
Okay, thank you very much for that wonderful question. Anyway, I don't want to be biased, but it's not about being biased. When you talk on the side of the lecturers, you also talk about on the side of the students.
Okay, so you want to start with the students, right?
Yeah, let me start with the students, and then later I will now go to the lecturers.
That's fine, yeah.
Okay. Education students.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I have is, you want to be a student. You want to be that business person. You want to be, I can say, jack of all trades. Anyway,
you want to be that married person.
Yeah, you want to be that good wife, good man in the house.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. When you look at it, because it's like why I said I don't want to be biased is, if you have your children at home and they are not brought up correctly, who are you to blame? You don't have time to take care of your children. Who are you going to blame? You have to blame yourself. That's why I said let me start with our students first. Yes, that's why I said let me start with our students.
Okay.
Yes,
so
because I am a student and I know what is going on.
Yeah, you want to say studying and coupled with other errands that they have, like their social errands, could also be a factor.
Could also be, and that could also be a factor that is responsible for this.
Okay.
But then when we come also to the side of the lecturers, like Michael rightly said, some lecturers are there. Before they come to class, it's almost 30 minutes gone. Okay? When they give assignment, like he rightly said, they will not even mark.
Okay.
Just look at that. At the end, look at the graduation, the convocation. How many years have gone that I've witnessed? And there are no education students that have been awarded this.
You've never seen an education student becoming a valedictorian.
And when you look at education, I think is the most important or essential part of this university faculty. Yes, but then look at it. Even anywhere we go, we are respected by our colleagues. Because what will they say? These people are teachers. And who are teachers? They are the ones who save the future of our
nation.
Of course. So therefore, I think something should be done. Yes, something should be done to help us with our grades. Because we are students and we deserve the best.
Okay.
So lecturers, please, let them be marking our books, our assignments, our papers, and then give us the mark that we deserve. Even though we sacrifice, leave our time, leave our business, leave our families, and come to school. So
you want to subscribe to the fact that lecturers sometimes don't mark the assessments?
Obviously, that is obvious. Okay. And I believe we all had what my group have said here. Okay.
Thank you very much. So we will come back to you. Thank you very much. My co-presenter, who is Molamin Sal. You've heard them. What they said is actually factual. I can attest to them as being a student, not only a presenter here, that we have lecturers who are not really doing what they should, But Ami was not biased. He said, as students too, we cannot be jack of all trades. We cannot be in different errands and expect to get the best. So she also, pointed out this thing. So what do you have to say about it? Do you think this problem is on one side? It's a one-sided problem?
Yes, thank you very much for dilating on that.
Yeah.
Although they talk about different areas,
Yeah.
like 4 days started with the lecturer side by recognizing their competence in terms of degree, because education, school of education, is full of professors and people that are very much they are holding high degrees.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the classroom, it is not very much translated as it is perceived. And on the other hand, like his colleague made mention like the side of students, because the students also, you should understand that you are a student no matter what. So now I have to ask this question, because we're talking about the assessment measures here. Okay, and I would like to start with 4D. What are some of the assessment measures that are given? Because some of our viewers are not even university students. And how effective are they? How effective are these assessment tools?
Thank you so much, Emil. I would want to discuss something briefly before I respond to your question. Now, my co-guest rightly mentioned that you cannot be a jack of all trades, and then at the end of the day, you expect to have a very good score in your exams. Now, also we must understand that educational courses are not the only courses that we are doing in university. You and I all attest to that. We are also taking courses in the School of Arts and Sciences, in the School of Business and Public Administration. We are also sharing GR courses with our students. Now, what is our score? What are our scores in those courses compared to the scores in the School of Education? Yet, we are doing our part-time works. Yet, we are husbands. Yes, yet we are wives. But it does not affect our scores in those other areas. So we can say that the problem lies in the School of Education. Now, responding to the question, when you look at measures, how are we being allocated marks? Now, it is in two folds. One is our continuous assessment, and the other one is exams. Now, the continuous assessment is into two. We have tests and then assignment. Most of the lecturers would give 25 marks to tests, and then would give 25 to assignments. Sometimes these assignments are individual assignments. Sometimes they are also group assignments. Okay, and when they are group assignment, most of the times they have been presented in class in front of students. Now, for that of exam, it's 50 marks. And then I think this is from Senate, approved by Senate. That is how it should be done. So now, if a student happens to do a test is given. Test can either be in an objective form, can either be in a theory form. Now, when that is given, like 150 students or more than that, one lecturer is to mark those papers. If that lecturer is not very careful in keeping his records, if that lecturer is not somebody who is energetic in marking those scripts, okay, he or she will not be able to give correct marks to the students who deserve them. Now again, when exam comes, you also have so many scripts that they are to mark, and then I'm made to understand that Senate gives them, I think, 40 days in order for them to mark papers. So sometimes if you don't have the endurance, if you don't have the time and the energy to mark those papers, you do it in a helter-skelter manner. At the end of the day, what happens? Students will not be given the marks that they deserve. So when it comes to continuous assessment, that is 50, and then when it comes to exam, that is also 50. Together, it will measure the performance or the understanding of a student in that particular course. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for dilating deep into that. Yes, my other question will go to Miss Jajo here. Yes, Foley made mention of how education students perform in courses that are not mounted in the School of Education. But when it comes to educational courses, it's always a problem for students. And he also went further to substantiate the assessment tools that are in place. And now, the question that I have for you, Miss Jajo, is like, in case a student is victimized, or in case you are a victim of circumstance, what are some of the routes that you should take to make sure that your voice is heard? Is there anything like this in place for students to show their dissatisfaction to these particular lecturers? Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Anna, for that question. Okay, like there is a way that students will show their dissatisfaction. How? We have our executive council, where we have the president, the vice president, the secretary general. They are there for us. They are there for the students anyway. So that any complaint that you have against any lecturer or about any missing grade of yours, you can go direct to them, and then they will tackle the matter, take it to the faculty office, and then they discuss about it and then solve it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. I thank my co-host a lot for bringing out those important questions. So we'll go back to Mr. Silla. You made mention of yourself being affected by the conduct of the lecturers in terms of assessment. Well, here basically what we are talking about is the end product, which is the assessment that have been given by the lecturers. People tend to say grades are not important, but then the same lecturers will tell you grades are very important. Just recently, I attended one of the classes, and the lecturer was portraying on the importance of grades. That if you are, going for your masters, they consider it a lot, and in fact, they consider your major areas a lot. So, which means grades are very important. So, if a student does whatever he should do, with all these errands, like you made mention of, education student comprises of mature students who are very much responsible of different errands in life. So if they are able to, couple those errands with their studies, and at the end does not get the result they deserve, it is really disheartening. So you might want to tell us your own side of that particular, how you felt when it happened.
Thank you so much once again. I think you have raised a very important question, and it should be discussed extensively.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at most of the people in academia, would say that grades are not important.
Yeah.
Mr. Sane, I think that is a mischievous trick.
It is.
Yes. Because at the end of the day, when graduations occur, when convocations occur, who are the people that we celebrate? We celebrate the best people who graduate from the university, the summa cum laudes, the magnas, and the cum laudes, the honors. Someone who finds himself outside this circle or herself outside this circle, what happens?
It's not noticed.
That person is not lucky, and then he was being or she was being told that grades are not important.
Yeah.
But now let us look at grades. One, it boosts your confidence.
Sure.
If you are able to score A+, all your 6 courses A+ in a semester, this succeeding semester, you have been motivated to even do better.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what happens? It changes your life. It gives you self-esteem. Okay. Now, if you also look at one importance of grade, because employers, they care so much about grades. Employers. Now, people tend to say knowledge is more important than grades.
Yeah.
But if you go to an institution to seek a job, in as much as, especially if that particular institution is not a pragmatic or a practical institution,
Sure.
they wouldn't be able to test your knowledge.
Yeah.
What they will do, they will just look at your results. Okay. Sometimes they can look at whether the result is translated into your performance. But sometimes if you have the knowledge and it is not on the score sheet, it is not on the result, then you will not be taken.
Sure.
And like you said, when it comes to masters as well, there is a particular amount that you need to get, GPA.
Yeah.
I was told that 3.0 if you don't have that. So a student who finds himself below that person will not be lucky to be admitted into a university. Now, coming to my own side, I think it was very sad. I was a fresher then. It was my first year, one of these educational courses. And then I was underscored. And in fact, in the classes that we conducted, I served as a presenter for my group actually, and then when it came to the exam preparation, I also served as a tutor for some of my colleagues. We tutored each other, and I think I was very influential. Not to be kind of pompous, but that was actually what happened.
That's fine. We have to make that very clear.
Yes.
At the university, to be a tutor means you really need to master that particular area that you are tutoring in. So
Certainly.
being a tutor means, that particular course will not be a problem to you. I understand exams do come, and sometimes they are not, actually the right measure for one's, intelligence and so on. But then, being able to tutor a particular course means we expect you to get the best results when it comes to that.
Certainly,
Yeah.
yes. Like you said,
So,
you cannot.
we were lucky to be the tutor.
Yeah,
of that.
actually,
In fact, that means you really understand.
Yeah, you cannot tutor if you don't have an understanding of the area.
Yeah.
And sometimes even if you do not want to tutor, because the kind of performance that your colleagues show you manifest in the classroom, they would want you to tutor. It's not about being cocky, but I think that is actually what has happened.
Yeah.
I was actually a tutor with some of my colleagues. To this day, I think it's one of the best exams that I've ever written, that course. But unfortunately, I found myself down. Yes, I found myself down. I was not expecting that. Actually, when that happened, when I look at my portal, I saw the grades. You can see the inconsistency. It was the only course that I scored less. Other, courses I scored very high, marks there. So when the lecturer wasn't here, I was made to understand that he was not the one who marked the scripts. He was away. He was in Nigeria. So I had to call him at that moment when I saw my grades. I called him, and then I was away, but I transferred the letter to my friend who submitted it on my behalf. So I made frequent follow-ups, but at the end of the day, nothing happened. I was in fact, the first time, but I know you understand this stuff, this course already, so you can just relax. The knowledge is more important. Even I thought it was a trick. To me, knowledge was important, but also this grade was very important to me. If that grade had been,
I guess our teachers, so if you give them the mic, they can talk for us.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sorry, in solidarity with that story anyway. So I would like to throw this question to her so that she can also talk about her own side. Were you ever victimized as a result of this grading issue? And what's your take on that?
Well, thank you very much. Anyway, I'm never a victim. I've never come across it.
Wow.
So, as he said, he experienced it. And as the saying goes, experience is the best teacher. So, he who tasted knows it better.
Yeah.
So, I think that is why he's
but
able to
then,
elaborate
as a
I'm
student, how would you feel, if you are victimized in such way? After doing a course, what are some of the courses you like most? Let me ask you, in the university, which course do you like the most, and you feel you are very much comfortable?
The course that I like most is history of education.
History of education. Let's say, okay. In fact, history of education, I don't want to mention it, but that was the course that I scored. A very, So sorry, I don't know how to describe it actually. It was something that I really, I in fact, up to date, when I hear students, complain about this mischievous acts, usually my mind goes straight to that. It was one of those lecturers who came newly, a professor, and then gave the whole class, almost everybody, C minus. So when we lodged the complaint, it was in fact the then dean said, "Asobi of C minus, how is that possible?" So you can see that was really a shocking, outcome, towards the exams. So, as history of education is your most favorite area, if that happens to you, what would you feel?
Like actually, I will feel very bad.
Yeah.
Because even the way he even explained, I feel emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very emotional.
It's so emotional after
it's so
inciting so much.
With all the effort that he has put in, look at it. That's why here I said, in this particular area, you blame the lecturers.
Yeah.
Because some lecturers, they don't even have time. And then what do we expect at the end of the day? What do we expect?
So what do you think the university should do in terms of such lecturers? Because we understand that there was a school that one of those lecturers comes from the president's office and also lecturing. So the person comes to lecture very tired, usually exhausted and so on. So you don't expect them to deliver to maximum. So what do you suggest to the university administration to do in terms of such lecturers?
Thank you. I think I love this question. Like to this, I suggest that, like the student union.
Yeah.
Okay. So not even the student union, but the dean of education. So give us this suggestion, like every end of semester, or even mid semester. If we have any complaint against any lecturer, let us write, take it to the student union, and the student union will take the complaint to them. I think it is better because the way some lecturers are behaving. It's not encouraging. It's not encouraging. Because we not just come to the class and start telling us stories. And then at the end of the day, you not give us the mark that we deserve. You just sit like at home and then give, like just you rightly said, you said what? Asobi minus C.
Asobi of C minus. Yeah.
That is not right. That is not right. After
like
sacrificing all our time, they use our time, come to school, and then attend our lectures.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is what we deserve.
That is something else.
So
I will allow my co-host to put forward at least one of those questions to FM, perhaps a similar question.
Yes. It is very sad that we realize some of these problems going on in the School of Education. Yes, but as students, we need to be very very brutally honest
Yeah.
when it comes to some of these challenges that we are facing.
Yeah.
Understand that what you speak here, you are speaking to tons out there.
Yeah.
So now, this question goes to Mr. FM. What do you have for the management? Do you blame the management for retaining such lecturers and the perennial problems continue happening?
Yeah.
Or what assessment tool have they been doing about these lecturers? Can you deal with that, please?
Thank you so much. Yes, I think, like you said, I'm a teacher, and then we are all teachers.
Sure.
But I think this is also an important discourse. We should extensively expound on some of these things. People are out there; they should understand all that we are trying to say. There is also a story that I would share later. But to respond to your question, I think there is a lot that should be changed in the University of the Gambia. In as much as you blame the student just a little, you should blame the management. But you look at the mega management and you look at the mini management. In the School of Education, we have a management, the dean, the faculty officers, etc. Do you think they are not aware of some of these problems? They are, of course, aware. It's a matter of it's a matter of colleagueship, or of the same nationality, or of the same badge, etc. But they are so much aware of this thing. Now, what should they do? They should be able to monitor and evaluate the performance of lecturers when it comes to examination. Lecturers cannot just give exams and then at the end of the day they mark and then upload the grades without them being subjected to a thorough scrutiny. How are they being able to mark our scripts in that particular duration? Now, we understand that the Senate approves grades, but before grades are being approved, how about the scripts that have been marked? Are they being checked by the management or not? If they're not being checked by the management, they should be checked by the management. Because we all have our own fallacies, we have our own errors. Sometimes you can mark a paper, and at the end of the day, you understand that paper is not thoroughly marked. And here we understand that we are not being fed back because we are not being given the papers at the end of the day. Suppose it is in high schools where a teacher marks the papers are being returned to students, and when that happens, students will know the mistakes that the teacher made, and then they will return the paper to the teacher, and the teacher will correct his or her mistake. But that doesn't happen here. Okay, if you go there, request to see your paper, at the end of the day, you will not be able to see your paper. So all these things are challenges. So there should be a proper committee that should be able to monitor and evaluate the performance of the lecturers. Also, there should be a committee that should be responsible of checking the scripts that the lecturers have marked to ensure that everything is being marked correctly. So I think that that answers your question. If I'm to go further, I think the mega management should also consider the yearly monitoring of all the faculties to ensure that.
I'll just cut it.
Yes.
And let me chip in with this. Yes. Let us use physical examples.
Yes.
Right now, it is no secret that there are a lot of students complaining of some lecturers. Like example, Dr. Burang of the School of Education, Mr. Njai, School of Education. These are some lecturers that students talk about a lot when it comes to assessment measures. So what do you have to say about this?
It's not secret that Dr. Burang Njai grades students very low. Last year, he was not in our faculty. He was in a different faculty. Students complain. He was transferred to our faculty last semester. Students complain. So who is having the problem, or who has the problem now? If at all it is one faculty, we can understand that the problem may be balanced. But it happened. Yes, it actually, management should understand that, yes, this man has a problem. He has a problem when it comes to giving low grades to students. He was in the School of Arts and Sciences in the Geography department. All the students cried because of him. Some of the students were pulled down from Summa to Magna, some from Magna to Cum Laude, some from Cum Laude to Honors, some from Honors to the hell, I can say. Yes, of course.
So you mean he was under the School of Geography?
Yes, he was there, Arts and Sciences, under the Geography department.
Okay.
Geography department.
So
most of the students complain about him.
Now, because of his mode of assessment, that's why he is.
Well, I may not know the reason why he was transferred, but he was just transferred to our faculty. But I was made to understand that even in that faculty, he had problems with students when it comes to giving them low grades. So he just spent a semester in our school. From what I heard, it may not be factual, but about 20-something people failed that course, the course that he taught last semester. So that is pathetic for our...
Well, what is factual is that students are complaining about
Students are complaining. That is actually...
So that is factual,
The management should actually do a survey to understand that students are being downgraded. Not because of students' fault. Because like I said, I am an English major and I do take courses in the School of Arts and Sciences. No one can tell me that sociolinguistics is easier than academic writing. No one can tell me that semantics is easier than sociology of education. So if students like him and others are scoring A's in those courses, and then they are scoring lower in those courses in the School of Education.
Something is amiss.
Something is actually wrong.
Yeah.
So that actually is the problem.
Yes, yes. So something is definitely wrong within the system. So, but there's a saying that School of Education we lack lecturers. That is why they maintain these lecturers, even though they are failing students. So, what's your take on that?
It is ironical. We lack lecturers when we have PhD holders, master's degree holders. We have professors in our school. Still, we lack lecturers. Maybe the lecturers are not competent to teach enough. And they cannot also say they lack the human resources. How many people are graduating from the University of the Gambia under the School of Education? Can't those people serve as lecturers? Can't they? Of course they can. It may depend on their interest. Maybe they're not interested. But it all depends on dialogue. Talk to them. You know, we have very good students, even in this semester or in this convocation, very good students graduated from the School of Education. They can all serve as very good lecturers in the School of Education. So I don't think the issue of human resource is a problem. We have enough human resource, enough human capital in this country and in our university, particularly in our faculty, that can serve as lecturers, that can teach students well in order to understand their different specializations.
Yeah, well, okay.
Yes, I want you to give your own verdict of the issue too, because I think you are also aware of it.
Yeah. I'm also aware of that. Okay, like on the side of lecturers, because some lecturers, sometimes when I sit in class and then look the way they are teaching, I myself even say, even me, I can teach. If I thought this is the only way that they are lecturing, even I can go to the class and lecture.
Then are you saying these lecturers are incapacitated? They are not very much of a behavior.
Well, I cannot say that. But then what I can say here is, yes.
Are you afraid to say some of them are incompetent? Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to be.
But remember, you are paying your money.
Yeah.
You deserve something. So what do you have to say? What do you have to students?
Okay, what I have to say is, some of those lecturers that we are complaining, can the management please take them away from us and bring us lecturers? Just as he said, we have even students. We have students who can lecture more than even these lecturers that we are talking about.
So right now,
they will sit there before they come to class. 1 hour has already gone. When they come, they start telling you stories. When I was in my country, when I was doing this, when I was doing that. We are not interested in that. What we are interested is what you are here to teach us. That's what we want to know.
Yeah, Molamin Sir made mention of 2 lecturers. That is Dr. Bura and Mr. Njai. You know, currently there are cases all over the lips of students. You know, students everywhere at the university, especially School of Education, will tell you, Dr. Buran did this to me, and Mr. Njai did this to me. So on their part, many students, some are advocating that they should be removed from being a lecturer or taken to another area. Do you subscribe to this notion?
Yes, on behalf of education students, I can say yes.
Yes.
Because whatever my fellow students complain, I think I'm also part of it.
Yeah.
I am also saying yes, that they can be taken away.
Yeah.
Please let them take them away from us.
So actually, when you ask many people, they'll tell you teachers are one of the most intelligent civil servants you can see. Because usually the areas that they are mostly specialized on, they tend to be masters in those areas. But you teach something for years, at the end you become, very good person on that particular area. And then we have many English courses that are, currently taking place at the university. And some of us who were fortunate to be, a major in English at the college, still really benefits us a lot when it comes to such English courses and so on. So sometimes this is what makes it very much difficult to grab, to be a teacher who has been lecturing a particular course or a particular area that is related to a particular course, and at the end seeing yourself having a low mark in that. So usually this is the problem that teachers will want to showcase, to tell them that actually what these lecturers are giving us is not the truth.
Yes, as students, we are also we are not young.
Yeah,
we are mature. We have gone some kind of institutionalized. We have been institutionalized because we came through the college and then we learned a lot.
Sure.
But sometimes in lecturers, you understand this lecturer does not know his or her area. Yeah. We all know that. We have
one of the lecturers, not cutting you short, he will tell us during his lectures, that is Mr. Demba, or live in Demba, he will tell us, in fact, I'm not a lecturer, I'm just trying to remind you I'm just reminding you on what you have already known.
So you see,
exactly.
Looking at the lecturers in the School of Education, comparing them to other faculties. Sometimes lecturers in the School of Education, like I said, when they lecture, you understand they don't know.
Yeah.
Believe me, go to School of Education.
Yeah.
Ask this gentleman sitting here.
Yeah.
He's taking some English courses.
Sure.
English courses in the Faculty of Arts and Sciences.
Yeah.
Some of our lecturers, they are blessed.
Yeah.
When they lecture, you understand that they are giving you the right information.
Sure.
But come to the School of Education, like she said, when I was in Nigeria, my daughter is that, my daughter is that. So you understand that they are not. Honestly, some lecturers will even manifest that they have not done well this semester. I have seen some of
to be
those
candid,
instances.
we are not actually referring to only lecturers from Nigeria. We are just trying to bring an example. So, you might just want to.
Yes, honestly, now if you look at, for example,
we just mentioned Nigeria, but that does not mean exactly we are referring only lecturers from Nigeria.
Yes,
we're here talking about lecturers. We are not excluding anyone.
Yes, everybody is included.
As far as
now, I must share this with you. In order for you to lecture, it should not merely be from the side of the lecturer.
Okay.
It is more to that.
Yeah.
It should be extensive. Discussion should be open to the students.
Sure.
But I understand that, Mr. Carr, I have to say this openly. I think I'm immune on this TV platform.
Sure.
Yes. Is a person who will not allow students to even partake in the class discussion. Okay. Sometimes he embarrasses you. He's not a Nigerian, let me remind you.
Yeah.
He's a Gambian, of course.
He's a Gambian, yeah.
Okay, so he embarrasses students when they want to take part in class discussion. Sure. So that is actually very pathetic. Yeah. Okay, in as much as university education is concerned, students should also take part in class discussion.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's this particular lecturer. I think some of the lecturers, they take pride in failing students. Yeah. They are inspired in failing students. It is just natural in them. Because a lecturer, for example, a student who was on teaching practice last semester or last year, a lecturer happened to go and then observe him. And then at the beginning of his class, he wrote the objectives on the blackboard. The lecturer told him, "Oh, you were told, or else you wouldn't have written this. If they hadn't told you that, you wouldn't have written this." So meaning that lecturer had come with that mindset that X or this person will not write his objectives on the board, and if he did not do that, I am going to fail him. Wow. So some of them take pride. They are inspired in failing students. You cannot just understand. I don't know if they don't want us to join them in the faculty as lecturers, but sometimes you never know. You cannot understand.
Yeah. So actually, as student leaders, they have their own responsibility. So you might want to, perhaps elaborate on that point.
On the side of student leaders?
On the side of the student leaders, what role they have, in terms of in resolution, in serving as a solution to these problems.
Okay, thank you very much. That is our area, right? The student leaders.
Yeah.
Yes, that is something that we must confess here, because here it's a student platform.
Yeah.
You should not shy away to talk about your challenges that you are facing in the School of Education.
Sure.
Yes. Sometimes what people do is, sometimes when you issue form, like for people to fill in their complaints, some of them start to dodge away from that. Yeah. So you see that sometimes we don't have the number that is required. Sometimes we need at least 50 signatories to show that this complaint is at least valid.
Yeah.
But sometimes the problem is students who are complaining, give them the form to fill in their complaints, so that at least we can use that as student leaders and challenge it to the management. Sometimes we find this. I don't know why.
That is a big problem.
That's a big problem.
I remember when that history of education problem happened. We call on students to sign, but I don't think we have a number.
You don't have the number.
Over 10. We don't have even over 10, actually.
You don't even have over this. Yeah. And sometimes a lecturer taking almost, let's say, 60 students.
Yeah.
At least having only 5 or 6 people standing that complaint.
Yeah.
I don't know if the management will ridicule the matter.
Yeah.
We said almost 6 people. It's normal for 6 people to fill out of 60. You understand? Sure. Sometimes this is what student leaders face. Students' participation is the number one problem.
Yeah.
And also, sometimes we channel this to management, but they keep delaying the process until you become fed up with the area. And you understand that, just a classical example, one course in public administration, it was HRM in public administration, I think. One of my friend has done that course, but after Mr. Habib Salah perused his writings, he had to call him directly. He told him, "I only see such writings when it comes to School of Education." He had to call him personally and confess that to him. That shows you that students on the School of Education are doing well. I can confess that they are doing very well when it comes to public administration, even though some of us have not studied that particular discipline in high school. But even though we are able to get something out of it, but when it comes to our own home, it's always a problem. Somebody that you will be assessed in the field and be given A, But when it comes to writing part of it, like methodology of teaching, you see students getting C, up to C minus. And that student that scored C minus in the exam or assessment, meet him on the field, you give him a very good score. So why failing him in class? Also, we have talked about lecturers, like some of these Nigerian lecturers. Let's also talk about people like Babu Diba, methodology of teaching, curriculum. Like he gives series of B's, a series of C's, something that like you could have even got A plus in it, but sometimes it's always a problem. And when you send in this complaint, it's always difficult for management to bring someone on board to replace them. Sometimes they will tell you like to get lecturers is a problem. Yes, I don't know how substantial that is because we have lots of Gambians that are very much level-headed and they can take the area.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they don't want to subscribe to the job or they prefer something else. But management should really help us on the side of students, especially student leaders.
Yeah, that is very true. He is a student leader, so he knows the area very well. And like you said, it's really devastating to have management that does not, that usually fails when it comes to taking care of students' matters. In as much as the matters of the lecturers is really something that is a concern to them, the students' matters should also be, in fact, a bigger concern to them. Without us, there will be no, lecturer and so on.
Yes, that's very well.
So you rightly mentioned, when it comes to other schools, you find education students. We are education students. In fact, I will take myself as an example. I'm an education student under School of Education, but the course I am a major in is taking place at BPA. That is where, in fact, I do most of my courses because I'm a major in economics. So usually when we have platforms of presentation, we find out that my colleagues who are also education students, they are the ones who will present. And at the end, we always get impressive, marks.
Of course, yes. Anytime you present, they know that you are from the field.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
So we boost, the fact that we are education students, but we cannot boost when it comes to our own school.
Yes.
So there is something wrong, actually. You cannot just blame the students.
And to bring this on board, like this current council, our council, yes, we are working on these issues.
Yeah.
The Education and Research Minister, with the Vice President and the other council members, they are working tirelessly in getting this data from students. I'll use this opportunity to urge students to participate. In our quest to get this data from students, please come on board and participate so that at least they can consider us seriously. We cannot go there and just submit 5, 6, 7 names. Like sometimes we feel like this complaint is just a hypocritical complaint because you complain when we tell you to write your name and mark number so that we can submit it. No harm is coming to this. Let students understand that. At least we have a dean that is ready to listen to us. We had a meeting with her the other time, the council members, and it was very fruitful. So now the council members, we are working on getting this data and working in tandem with students to substantiate our complaints so that the management will understand that these are not just skeletal words, but they are words that hold substances. When they see that almost 20 to 30 students are writing their names, showing their dissatisfaction, at least that can help to a wider degree. Okay.
So one of the viewers is saying, don't you think the route to show dissatisfaction isn't too bureaucratic? So I'm not sure from which angle he is trying to actually put this question. Yeah, that is to say, don't you think the route to show dissatisfaction isn't too bureaucratic? Yeah. So perhaps we will allow Mr. Silla to elaborate on that.
We have to exhaust certain bureaucracies before we are able to ensure or channel some of these things. Now, as students, we are just partners. We cannot just get up and then solve these problems. Okay. Yes, we cannot just get up and then solve these problems like that. We have to channel it to a particular office, then from that office to another office. Now, when I was a fresher, when I had that problem, I did not go through any bureaucracy. I just went straight to the faculty office. But I'm made to understand that as students, when things of this happen, we need to channel it to the Education Research Ministry of the council. From the council's ministry, then the council will sit over it and they will discuss. Then they will channel it to the faculty office. So of course there are bureaucracies that should be exhausted before some of these things have been solved. Now, if that does not happen, what students can do it's to protest, to have a peaceful protest. If we do not want to exhaust, or if we exhaust these protocols, and at the end of the day nothing is being done, or our issue is not being solved, the only thing that we can do is to resort to protest, a peaceful protest, to show out our feelings and our dissatisfactions about what has been going on. But like my good brother has said, Mr. Sar, I think we need to call a spade a spade. A spade can never be a whole, no matter what function it performs. Now, part of this problem is ourselves, the students, under the Faculty of Education. When we are called to duty or to function, it's always a problem. We lag behind. You only see School of Education students very active, I'm sorry to say, when it comes to tutorials, when it comes to grade issues, when it comes to registration. But issues like having to submit our data to show our dissatisfaction to a particular lecturer. And management cannot just come and sack a lecturer like that. They have to, it has to be based on particular data. And that data is for the students to show that, yes, X and Y, I don't want him, he is this and that. I can fully remember it happened in our research methods, our research method lecturer some time ago. The management asked students to submit their data. Out of more than 150 students that were taking that course, less than 30 students submitted their data. I saw it.
Usually that is a problem. To have students on board on such cases is very
It's a problem. So how do you expect the problem to be solved? So in as much as we can blame the management, we also have to blame us, because the management is helping us. And we can only help the management when we submit our data to the management. So that is also the problem of this issue.
Thank you very much. Madam Jaju, we are almost at the tail end of the program. So what we'll do is, like he said, what do you think the students should do to combat such problems?
Okay, just as I said earlier, like if you have any complaint, let us come, like the saying goes, united we stand and then divided we fall. We are complaining. Students are good at talking. You only be talking, complaining, hey, this lecturer this lecturer that. But then when it comes to writing, write and take it to the students, our executives that are concerned, and then they will take it to the management.
So that is it. So that's very good. So, Mr. Sir, you've heard them. So what they mentioned is very important. Students usually find it very difficult to have them on board when it comes to solving such issues, and then you're in fact living with us to that.
Yes, the turnout is usually very low. Yes, and I have a recommendation to this. If you are a student and you find yourself in such a situation, do not just go directly to the dean and report your issue. Sometimes you could be ridiculed. You have to pass through your student leaders. And right now you have a very active and proactive education and research minister who is very much ever ready for students' complaint. Anytime you send him your data or something related to that, like, he will act swiftly. Let us utilize these student lists. But if you just go directly to management, sometimes you will not get what you want as you wish. Yes, use your student leaders. Let us know the problem and help us gather this problem, because if you see this issue has been happening over and over, we cannot embark on, let's say, a peaceful strike if, let's say, only like very few number is showing up. It does not tell well. We have to base it on a very concrete ground. Telling management that, like, we almost like a class of 40 people fail. That's not something reasonable. You want you to act swiftly. And if we exhaust our peaceful way of getting things done, then we will have no other option than to use the other side, because where peaceful means is impossible, violent means is inevitable. Yes. So students should also cooperate with the student leaders to make sure this issue is removed from the system. At least the dean is now listening to us more than before. Because anytime we call on her, we knock on her doors, see, her doors are always widely open for us.
That is very true. We have to acknowledge, her, readiness to serve us and then to respond to our needs. But that is Professor Jufo. Beatrice, she is really doing fantastic, and
absolutely,
then we commend her for that. And then we just want her to extend, whatever she is doing to assist us more by, helping us to actually eradicate such menace that we are encountering from lecturers we mentioned here. We blatantly mention the names of lecturers who are actually dissatisfying our needs.
Exactly.
So we are not doing it actually out of fear, and then we are not here also as people who are here for a war or so. We are here to speak out our mind and then to tell you actually what we are feeling. we might show you smiling faces, but actually on the day these problems happen, we are not smiling because these are not problems that students take lightly. Marks are very important, like we made mention of. So if you are cheated or marked, it's always devastating. So we can never forget such instances. So that is why we had no chance but to elaborate on them and then to bring them forth.
Okay.
So we might allow
yeah.
our guests to give their final
Yeah,
messages.
and I want to say this thing first. Yes, like there's a form that is currently in circulation,
Okay.
which is more or less a complaint link. So we will urge all students that are affected to subscribe to this and lace out their problems. We will use that form to channel these problems.
Yeah, and we might in fact use this opportunity to tell students to be monitoring the pages. Once an information is sent, it is for them. It is not for any other person apart from students that are there. So we need to be okay with the information that are sent. Please. Usually we take a lot of time to write this information and share with you. So once they are shared, let's read them and know what is. Sometimes you might feel reluctant to read a particular dispatch when it is actually for your own help and your own assistance. So you might not know that if you don't read. So, we can urge students to be reading the dispatches.
So what are your recommendations and your final words?
Yeah, your final words to these problems that we are facing.
Yes, thank you. Like in the beginning, I said, these are our opinions regarding this perennial issue. These opinions are, like I said, they are not subjected to any data collection or data analysis. They are our opinions as far as the issue is concerned. So no one can just write them off. They can be factual because this has been happening, and then students have been crying, a lot about some of these things. Now, my recommendation is that the management, from the university management to the faculty, they should have a monitoring and evaluation team that should not only monitor and approve grades, but also to scrutinize the scripts that have been marked by lecturers. That is where the problem lies. Not only examination scripts, but even assessment scripts. Sometimes students will not see their assessment grades until if grades have been uploaded on the portal. So that is also very sad. We need to see our grades, our assessment grades, before we march into an examination hall. Okay, so there should be a proper team that should be responsible for scrutinizing the scripts that have been marked by the lecturers. The student body also have a share. They should take part in whatever way possible that can make sure that this issue is being nullified. When the council channel this to the management and they are being told to collect data of the student to ascertain that this social lecturer is not doing well, students should come on board in order to support the council so that this thing would be a thing of the past. It is only that way that some of these things can be nullified from our faculty. To everyone outside there, whether you are a student on the School of Education or not, do understand that students of School of Education, they deserve better grades because we have manifested this not only in one school, but in different schools. We have manifested this in our GR courses, in our major courses, in our minor courses. So why departmental courses are the problem? So you understand that if you check our portals, you will find an inconsistency there. Inconsistency in the sense that we have scored high in our majors, our GRs, as well as our minors. But when it comes to our departmental courses, we have scored very low in those areas. So some of the lecturers, they take pride in failing students. And I think that is one of the major causes of these low grades of students in the School of Education. So on that note, I thank the viewers a lot.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Madam Jajo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also seize this opportunity to tell my students, my fellow students, that EDUSA, let us participating in this extracurricular activities.
Okay.
Yeah, because last time we even had a match at
Fitness tournament.
Yeah, the fitness tournament. But then a few turn up. So please let us all come out. When EDUSA call, let us answer to the call. Because of EDUSA, we are in the universities.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is we are proud students of EDUSA, and we are proud anywhere we go to. Because especially in other faculties, like he rightly mentioned, just week before last week, it was last week rather, when I went for clearance, this man asked me to write a letter. I just wrote the letter and gave it to him. He just take it and tell me, "Wow, are you a teacher?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Why do you ask? Is the letter not correct?" He said, "No, it is perfect. That's why I asked whether we are a teacher." Okay. So for teachers, no doubt,
there's high expectation. Sure.
So we don't have no.
So
Anyway, thank you
I
very
only
much.
hope the
And then
lecturers
I'm
will
saying
share the
thank
same
you.
feeling with you. I only hope they'll share the same feeling with you that teachers are good at everywhere.
Yeah, teachers are good everywhere.
Yeah. Thank you
I'm
very
proud
much.
to be a teacher. And then
That's
okay.
very good.
So please let us all be coming out to participate in our events,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you
To all
very
the viewers
much,
there.
Madam
Thank you
Jan.
very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for taking the time and sacrifice to surface here. Yeah, although it's not easy in the midst of this Ramadan. Yes, like I would just like to reiterate some of the areas that were discussed. The today's theme is very much pertinent to student score because we want to know where the loophole lies and the possible way forward. We talk about the lecturers who are very much
Notorious.
professional when it comes to their level of education, but when it comes to class, it's not very much manifested, and we have to be very honest to each other here. Like considering their papers and how they deliver, it's not always at par. And the assessment measures that they do, this random marking and assessing students poorly is something that we need to eradicate in the school of education. And students too, we need to be very serious with our complaints. You cannot just be at your corner complaining and there's a road for you to take and you don't want to do the needful at that particular point in time. It will be very difficult for the council to collect this the optimum data and channel it to management. Students should also come. But okay, for the school of education, thank God that like things are changing a bit. But they need to surface in all aspects of activities. Even she made mention of the program that happened last time.
The fitness
The
time.
fitness time, but the turnout was relatively not very encouraging.
Yeah.
So we want to urge people to come on board in both academic and extracurricular activities. Yes. Thank you for the time.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So, Madam, you want to say something? Okay. No problem.
Yes, I think I should share one thing with our viewers, and that is to say, I seize this opportunity on behalf of everyone seated here to apologize to anyone who may feel offended by what we said. But actually, this is our honest opinion, and on any platform, I can share my opinion about this particular issue. But people are different. Someone may be offended, and in case anyone is offended by what we have said here, the person can actually be very sorry. Although this is a means of ensuring that we put some of these things behind us because they are actually disturbing us. They are disturbing us. They are actually trying to dirty our portals because someone's portal that is at summa cum laude or magna cum laude and happens to find himself in like GPA of 2.0, 2.5, then your portal is dirty, it's filthy, it's not something that is clean. So it is our honest opinion. If anyone is offended by what we said here, the person can be very sorry. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for that sort of apology. In fact, it might not be that much needed.
Yes.
This is a platform that actually we are trying to speak our mind, and we feel we have that democratic right to come up and then say whatever is affecting us as students at the university. So that is why we are living witness to it, and then we are also victims to these problems that we have mentioned here. It is not something. It's not hearsay, not from other parties, but we are living witnesses to it. So we tried our level best to make sure these things are solved, but we could not solve them. Sometimes, like Emil said, you tend to follow the routes, the channels to solve these problems, but then you find it very difficult. Usually, you'll have delays on the way, hurdles on the way that will, at the end, makes you fed up, and you just have to succumb to whatever has been given to you, which is not really encouraging at all. So we are just urging lecturers. We are not enemies to them, and then we are also not seeing them as enemies to us. So then what we are trying to say is to bring an improvement in the school of education, because it is one of the most important schools in the university. If this school goes as it should, it will graduate teachers with very good degrees that are going to help the country to excel to whatever level it yearns for. So that is why we are just pleading to them. We are pleading to the management. We are pleading to the Faculty of Education, to the dean, and everybody that is responsible to make sure that we have the good lecturers and lecturers who are not going to dirty our portals. We don't want to see our portals, in such conditions. We are actually doing courses that are very difficult than any educational course, and we are excelling on those ones. So you cannot say the students are stupid. We are not. So you just don't understand, the problem. In fact, to be 100% sure, we are sure that the problem is sometimes on the side of the lecturers. I'm not saying the students are not faulty at any way, but then most of the problems is from the lecturer side. So we are pleading to the management to look into that and then bring us very good lecturers who are going to be honest with our marks and also never joke with our marks. If you are not in town, do as you can, do all your best. Even if you can go with the papers and mark them there by yourself, I think that will be better than giving somebody here who is going to give us, marks that are not in fact, deserved. So that is what we are trying to say here, and then I think we have done justice to the topic. And then by that, I have to thank my co-panelists, and that is Molamin Sa, who is my co-host, Ami Jaju, who is a second-year student, and then Mr. Fode M. Silla, who is an outspoken student at the School of Education. So thank you all. And we also thank Fine TV for giving us this space. They are doing a tremendous job in terms of enlightening the masses about School of Education errands that are happening at the university. We know Mr. Kekuta Chap is somebody who is always on the ground to make sure whatever happens at the university is sent to the limelight for everybody to see. So we thank you very much for that. This is a patriotism work, and then we encourage you to keep it up. The sky is the limit, and we also pray for the longevity of Fine TV, and then we pray for it to excel to the highest height. Thank you all. This is the end of the program. Until we come again next week at the same time, at the same place. Thank you.